Hey, it's Victor, LakelandCarKeys.com. I just wanted to give people a quick public service announcement. I see this all the time, especially with Fords. I mean, if you lose the key to your Ford, or the key's not working, or whatever the case may be, call around to a couple of locksmiths and get some prices. Don't try to do it yourself, because I see this all the time. So whoever's car this was, I can see the remnants of where they drilled out the ignition, trying to change the ignition switch. And what happens is, they damage other things. This switch wasn't even put together the right way. I took it apart and reclocked everything and put it in so that it will turn and you have all the right procedures it's supposed to. But it's still not identifying the chip that's inside this key that they brought. I did try, some of my own chips, and it still wouldn't read. And a lot of times what happens is when people drill these out, they damage the antenna ring. And then, then it won't add any new keys in. And when I go and look inside with my programmer, I got both the IM508 and the CK100 down there. When I look in the programmer and I look at, how many keys are in the system, it says 0. So that already lets me know that somebody with a programmer has been on this car trying to program keys and they couldn't get it done. And more than likely, they damaged something, trying to do whatever it is that they were doing, trying to save $1 here or there, try to do it themselves. I mean, this key is not that expensive for me to come out and make it. And had I came out and made the key, they would have had the same key matching for the ignition and the doors. So now that they did this, they're going to have a different key. I mean, they could recode this cylinder to match the doors, but I highly doubt they're going to do it, and I'm not going to do it. But, me making a key from scratch would have been a lot cheaper. I mean, it's not a huge difference in the price than what I'm charging them for coming out and doing this program that's unsuccessful. So not only did they waste money buying, some random ignition switch and the time they took to make this mess and damage more stuff, but now they paid me for coming out here and they're still not done. They got more things to do. And then, in the long run, even in the short run, before they did anything, it would have been a whole lot cheaper for me to just come out and make the key. And, more than likely, this car would have been running without additional damage. So also, on Fords themselves, especially the older Fords, so I'd say anywhere from like 1998 to 2008. A lot of times people will have keys and the keys will stop working, or they'll work intermittently, or they'll say, I took the battery out and now I put it back in and my keys are unprogrammed. One, taking the battery out doesn't unprogram your keys. That's indication of something else is wrong in your system. And a lot of times the culprit ends up being the engine computer. So these Fords, like this one, I don't think has a body control module, but usually there's 3 different modules that have to talk to each other, and depending on the year and model Ford, key information is sometimes stored in the gauge cluster. If there's a body information, if there's a body control module, it's stored in the BCM, and then it's also stored in the engine computer. Now, all 3 of those have to be able to talk to each other in order for it to start. Now, if your engine computer is bad, it might throw a code and say, service immobilizer system or key not recognized. That's only because the other modules can't communicate with the engine computer. Now, the engine computer could be good. All the modules could be good. It could be bad wiring. It could be a blown fuse. Don't always assume that you need a new key. I'm hoping that these people don't have a bad PCM and did all this damage trying to replace the key because they thought their key was bad. And, now they got to fix all this and then still get the car properly diagnosed and and get it repaired. Now, I say this to say that, or I say that to say this. I'm not a mechanic. I don't come out. I don't diagnose people's cars. I already spent way too long on this car trying to, straighten out this ignition and get it programmed. But, in situations like this where I come out, I spend my time, I came here, I hooked up all my equipment, I went through the programming procedure, I did everything that I was supposed to do on my end. I expect to be paid 100% in full, even though it didn't work. The reason why it's not working is not my fault, it's not my equipment, it's what you've done to your car. And basically, like I said, I went through the whole procedure and did everything that I was supposed to do on my end. I need to be paid. And, people don't like that, but, it is what it is. I didn't do this to your car. All right, so, please, I'm just trying to get people just, call around, get a heads up of what it's going to cost. And like I said, this car locally, making this key, I hate putting prices out there, but if they had the blade to copy, I probably would have did it for about $145. And had I, had to decode the locks or pull a key code or whatever, I probably would have charged them like $160 locally. I'm sure between cutting this and buying these keys and trying to do whatever they did, they're already well into that, price range to have damaged and mismatched keys. And now they're paying me, almost, well, actually, they're kind of paying me a little bit more than that to come out and just do the programming. I know it sounds weird, but, after I done spent my time here and this and that, just call the locksmith beforehand, man. Don't try to do it yourself. I know everyone wants to do it yourself. I'm a do-it-yourself type person, but when you get into, things you don't know about and you cause more damage, it gets real expensive real fast. All right, thanks for watching. LakelandCarKeys.com.